Why do we do the things we do? It's probably one of the biggest, most fundamental questions we can ask ourselves. Well, today we're going to pull back the curtain on all those psychological forces that drive our actions, our goals, and yeah, even our feelings. So let's just dive right in.
Okay, picture this. I'm sure you've been there. You've got this huge, super important deadline just looming over you. You know, the kind of project that could make or break your quarter, maybe even your year. You know you should be working on it, but you just can't. You can't bring yourself to even start.
And then what happens? Later that same day, you find yourself totally lost for hours, maybe meticulously leveling up a character in a video game or, perfectly organizing your bookshelf. So what gives? Why is it so easy to get motivated for that, but so impossible for the other thing?
Well, here's the thing. That weird paradox, it's not some kind of personal failing. Nope, it's actually a window into the super complex, fascinating world of motivation and emotion. And that's exactly what we're going to do here. We're going to decode those forces together. All right, so to really understand what makes us tick, we've got to start at square one, the most fundamental level, our biology. Think of these as the factory settings, the built-in programs that have kept the human species alive for millennia.
So, one of the first big ideas to try and explain this is something called drive reduction theory. And the core concept is actually pretty simple. Your body has basic needs, right? Like food or water. When one of those needs isn't met, it creates this uncomfortable tension, an internal drive that literally pushes you to do something about it. And this whole process has a name: homeostasis. It's basically your body's constant search for balance. So, a need, let's say a lack of food, creates the drive we all know as hunger. That drive then motivates the action, eating, and poof, balance is restored. It's this incredibly powerful, totally automatic cycle that's just happening inside you all day, every day.
But okay, of course, we're not just driven by stuff like hunger and thirst, right? The theory has an answer for that. It splits drives into two big categories. You've got your primary drives, those are the biological ones we're born with. But then you have acquired or secondary drives. And these are the ones we learn from our experience, from our culture. Think about the need for money, which lets you buy food, or the desire for social approval.
All right, so that's the body's baseline programming. But let's move up a level, because just satisfying our basic needs, well, that doesn't even come close to telling the whole story. Our complex minds, our thoughts, they introduce a completely new layer to motivation.
Just think about it for a second. What biological drive is someone reducing when they climb Mount Everest, or write a novel, or spend their weekends volunteering? These kinds of actions, they have nothing to do with immediate survival. They're about something else entirely. This is where psychologist David McClellan comes in. He suggested that on top of our biological needs, we have three core psychological needs. First, there's the need for affiliation. That's the desire for connection, to be the team player. Then the need for power, which is all about influence, being the boss. And finally, the need for achievement. That's that internal fire to take on big challenges and succeed, to be the high achiever. Most of us are a mix of all three, but usually one is a bit more dominant and really shapes the choices we make. And even beyond that, beyond just achieving goals or having influence, there's yet another really powerful motivator. This deep-seated human quest for personal growth, for meaning.
And this is what brings us to Abraham Maslow and his super famous hierarchy of needs. Now, you've probably seen it. He pictured our motivations as a pyramid, and the whole idea is that you have to build from the bottom up. At the very foundation, you've got your basics, physiological needs like food and water, then safety, then belonging and love, and then esteem. You really have to get those sorted out before you can seriously start focusing on what's higher up the pyramid.
Okay, so once those foundational needs are more or less taken care of, we're finally free to pursue what he called our growth needs. And this is where it gets really interesting. This is where we seek knowledge just for the sake of it, where we appreciate art and beauty, and where we strive for self-actualization. That's just a fancy term for achieving your absolute full potential, becoming the most complete version of you. The big takeaway here is that our motivation isn't some fixed thing. It changes and evolves right along with us.
Now, there's no way we can talk about motivation without bringing in its very close cousin, emotion. Our feelings are huge drivers of our actions, right? But how? How exactly does that connection work? Well, it turns out it's a bit of a classic chicken or egg problem in the world of psychology.
And this famous question really gets to the heart of the debate. Seriously, think about it. If you see a bear in the woods, what comes first? The feeling of being afraid or the physical reaction of your body starting to run? The answer? Well, it might not be what you think.
Okay, so the first major theory here, the James Lange theory, argued for a pretty surprising order of events. They basically said you don't run from the bear because you're afraid. No. Instead, your body just reacts first. Your heart pounds, your breathing gets fast, you start running, and only then does your brain interpret all those physical signals and label that whole experience as the emotion we call fear.
But, as you can imagine, not everyone bought that. Other researchers, specifically Cannon and Bard, they pushed back hard. They said no way. They argued that the feeling of fear and the physical reaction of running, they happen at the exact same time. The idea is that seeing the bear sends a signal to your brain that forks. One path tells your body to get moving, and the other path tells your mind to feel scared, all at once.
Then a more modern theory came along that kind of puts it all together. The Schachter-Singer theory adds one more crucial ingredient to the mix: our thoughts, our cognition. Here's how it works. You have a physical reaction, okay? Your heart pounds. But then your brain rapidly scans the environment for clues to figure out why. So if there's a bear, you label that pounding heart as fear. But if you're on a promising first date, you might label that exact same physical feeling as excitement. See? Context is everything.
Phew. Okay, so we've looked at our basic biology, the goals in our mind, and that human search for meaning. Now, let's pull all these different threads together into a simple framework that you can actually use to make sense of all this.
So really, you can think about your own motivation through 3 different lenses. There's the biological lens, actions driven by the body and its needs, like hunger. There's the cognitive lens, actions driven by the mind and its goals, like the need for achievement. And then there's the humanistic lens, actions fueled by the self's desire for personal growth and reaching your potential.
So, what's the bottom line? The most important thing to get is this. There's no single, secret key to motivation. It's not just one thing. It's a complex, always shifting interplay between our body, our mind, and our deepest potential. That whole mystery of why you procrastinated on that big report but crushed it in the video game? Well, the answer lies in that intricate dance between all these different forces.
And that really just leaves us with one final question to chew on. Right now, in this very moment, what's motivating you? Is it something biological, like you're getting tired? Is it a cognitive goal, like the desire to learn something new from this? Or is it something more humanistic, a drive to just understand yourself a little better? Whatever it is, that's the answer to what makes you tick.